And we are live once again. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel, where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to Sober Talk. In today's Sober Talk, it's going to be about acceptance and it's going to be about gratitude today. Um, I'm going to kind of wait for everyone to start filing in, kind of getting into this chat. Um, so just kind of a heads up, I'm just going to be chilling out for a moment, and we're going to do this. So we're just going to kind of wait to see how many people come in today. All right. And there's our first person in the chat. Thank you so much for joining the live. Um, again, you know, this is Sober Talk. It does not matter, but it is kind of an open forum. So if there is something, if you know somebody, or one of your loved ones, whatever, I think every one of us knows an alcoholic. So even if you're not alcoholic, feel free to join the chat and and that sort of thing. Feel free to say, to talk about whatever's on your mind. We're very friendly here. We're very open. So feel free to just be a part of the group. All right. All right. Good to see a couple people in the chat. If you have an opportunity, be sure to drop me a like. Always a big help. Um, if you think about it. All right. So again, normally I do my AA prayer kind of off camera, but because of the time that we're living in right now, with everything going on, I feel it's necessary to go ahead and do my prayer on camera. Normally, like if I'm doing something with especially Sober Talk, I will go off camera and do that sort of thing. All right, but right now I think everybody needs to be a part of it. So you're welcome to join me if you'd like. But I will be going to the third step prayer on page 63 of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. So if you got one, great. If you don't, just follow along best you can. All right. And the third step prayer. God, I offer myself to thee to build with me and do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them would bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, thy way of life. May I do thy will always. Hey, what's going on? Go Tons. Welcome to the live, brother. We're going to be doing a Sober Talk live today. I see you did. Thank you so much for dropping a like. Today's topic is going to be about acceptance, because boy, we need a lot of acceptance today. And we're also going to be talking about a little bit about gratitude today. So you know, oh man, I'm curious how this sober talk's going to go. When you start talking about acceptance, a lot of alcoholics, they kind of run the other way, but when you start talking about gratitude, they all file in. And the irony of that is, when you're in a meeting like that, I've not been to a true AA meeting that didn't have some sort of talk about gratitude. What are you grateful for today? So, so that's just. I figure today we really need to nail this one down. Again, for everyone, um, the big one that I'm going to tell everybody is totally, if you got something, you just need to get out there, get it out. This is a good place to do it. I guess you could say, when it's sober talk, it's a hate-free zone, and you know, So if something's eating your lunch, get it out in the open, okay? And we'll throw it out there, and we'll see if we can't do something about it, okay? We may not have all the right answers, but by golly, we can listen, and that's the biggest help we can all have in our lives. Right now, that's a big one, just someone to listen to us. All right, so um, the best spot when you start talking about acceptance, there's a spot in the AA Big Book that, I kid you not, Sober Man, he said, I don't know what page it's on well, no, he knew. He said in the old third edition, it's on page 449. He said, but turn your book to page 417. And basically, it's a story. Originally, it was Dr. Alcoholic Addict. And then they changed the name for the fourth edition to Acceptance is the Answer. And what ended up, it was basically a story towards the back of the book. The first 164 pages have not been changed ever. Those pages remain the same since its first printing. The Big Book was first printed in like 1939, 1940. And I think they wrote it in 1939 and it was printed in 1940, if I remember my history correctly. So because of that, by the third edition, they had this really awesome story to put in there, and it was Dr. Alcoholic Addict. Well, when the fourth edition was being talked about, they're like, man, people have been using this story to help the newcomers. So what's our best bet? We need to keep it in the book. So they did just change the name of it. So originally, whenever someone was struggling with acceptance in the third edition, if they had a third edition, you'd hear an old timer say 449. Well, now it's 417. So depending on what edition you have, if you have a first or a second edition, then that story's not in there. But if you ever hear about that, and this is the chapter this is the paragraph that everyone kind of pushes you towards. And it goes like this on page 417. And acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. When I'm disturbed, it's because I find some person, place, thing, or solution, some fact of my life unacceptable to me, and I can find no serenity until I accept that person, place, thing, or situation as being exactly the way it's supposed to be at this moment. Nothing, absolutely nothing, happens in God's world by mistake. Until I could accept my alcoholism, I could not stay sober. Unless I accept life completely on life's terms, I cannot be happy. I need to concentrate not so much on what needs to be changed in the world as what needs to be changed in me and in my attitudes. Pretty deep. Basically, when there's something wrong with Prince Magnum, when I'm not okay, it may not necessarily, it's probably safe to say that it is not what is going on around me. It's what's going on in here. What am I not accepting? What is going on in me that, you're right with me. What is happening within Prince Magnum, that's keeping me from accepting a situation as it's supposed to be, at that point in time. I know for a lot of people right now, here we are, we're kind of forced into this whole thing that, we have to, this whole global pandemic, where a lot of us are right now under, this quarantine that we've had to put ourselves under. Well, in some cases, some people are under this quarantine and they have no choice, and they're struggling with accepting it. What's happening within you? I know for me, it's like, okay, I know what I got to do, and I'm just taking it as it's supposed to be. I know there's stuff that I can do. I can still make a difference. And, so it basically, if you will, I've had to look in myself and turn that frown upside down. I know that sounds really silly, but it's something that we can all grab onto, so that's kind of how this has worked out for me. Um, so if that helps anybody out there, then by all means take it and run with it. Um, so that's where I'm at in this. I'm grateful that that I'm still here, that I'm sober. Shoot, I had a miracle happen to me today. Um, I woke up today and I found it not necessary to take a drink. Right, right. To be positive, and couldn't have said it better, you know. But I had a miracle happen to me today. I woke up today and I found it not necessary to take a drink. And any day that still happens, that truly is still a miracle. Let me tell you. And you know, I have the capabilities to go live like this and to talk to you all, and um, and to be able to share that with you. I can be grateful for that today, because in accepting the situation as it is, with this global pandemic, right, to be able to accept in this global pandemic, this whole thing that's been going on, and how people have been struggling, and and that I can still find some sort of peace, that I can still make a difference. So by accepting my situation and looking at what is the next right thing that I could do today, we've been going live like this. So I'm not sitting there trying to, clawing at the walls, or, even though I'm sober today, okay? Even though I'm sober today, I will say it right now. You don't have to get the crazies. You don't have to drink to get crazy in sobriety. You don't have to drink to get crazy, okay? And there's an old joke where I live. There's this guy who, amazing sobriety, very funny. Dave, yeah, his name's Dave. He has this amazing way of putting things. And he said, I don't have to drink to go crazy. I can go stark raving sober. And when I heard that, I mean, we all laughed about it, but it's like, that makes sense. That makes sense. So, here we are, looking. Right, right. And yes, I'll tell the fly joke in this stream again. I will tell the fly joke again. If you haven't heard it yet, I will tell it. Um, you know, so this is what Alcoholics Anonymous, right. It makes total sense. Okay. Um, so here we are now, we're having to accept this situation. Now, I will say, on the level of acceptance, some people get this confused. Sober Man taught me this long time ago. And he said, I was talking about something that was going really bad in my life, and I was really pissed off. I mean, it was like really angry. I mean, just like furious. And he listened to me. And I had said, I know I have to accept this for what it is. And he smiles and says, just because you have to accept it doesn't mean you have to like it. And I'm like, huh, I never thought of it that way. I honestly had never thought of it that way. So if you think about it, you have to accept it, that that's the way God wants it to be at that point in time. But do you have to like it? No. You can not like it. You can accept it and not like it. It's totally fine. And I remember I was in a meeting, and there was this real young guy. He only had he was like, like 20 years old, and he was trying to get sober. He was going through drug court and everything. And he started, he was ranting and raving about something that happened in one of his groups at the at probation and parole. And I'm listening to him. And finally, I just looked at him and said, I'll be straight up honest with you. I know, he turned around and said, I know I have to accept this for what it is. And I looked at him and said, I know you have to accept it for what it is. But did anyone say you had to like it? And he kind of stood there a moment. Hey, Auntie Donna, welcome to the chat. Auntie Donna, you have been here so often. We need to fix something. Ta-da! There you go. Auntie Donna, if you would do me a kind favor and say something in the chat, whatever you'd like, you'll notice a slight change in things. You've been in here enough and you've been watching my back and everything, so you'll notice a slight change. So, again, when I looked at this young man and I said, no, I know, you have to accept this, but no one said you had to like it. And it's like this great big weight was lifted. And he's like, that is the most profound thing I could have heard. He said, I don't have to like it. I can not like this at all. I just have to accept the situation though for what it is. No, thank you. Every time you come in here, it's always I know what you're trying to take in, and it just makes me feel so good that you're here. Um, so that's the whole thing on acceptance. Now, I'll tell you a little secret. Sober Man showed me this whole thing on acceptance. Yes, on 417 of the fourth edition. But most people don't turn to probably one of the most important. Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Most people don't turn to the last couple of paragraphs in that story, and I actually find these a little bit more mind-blowing, I guess you could say, than what everyone calls the acceptance paragraph. And this is the one. It's on. Believe it or not, it's page 420. I know there's some people that are pharmaceutically flexible when it comes to sobriety that would get a kick out of that, because here's the irony of what he has to say. Acceptance is the key to my relationship with God today. I never just sit and do nothing while waiting for him to tell me what to do. Rather, I do whatever is in front of me to be done, and I leave the results up to him. However it turns out, that is God's will for me. I must keep my magic magnifying mind on my acceptance and off of my expectations, for my serenity is directly proportional to my level of acceptance. When I remember this, I can see I never had it so good. Thank God for AA. And those last two paragraphs, that magic magnifying, mind of an alcoholic. We can take and make a mountain out of a molehill, can't we? Oh my goodness. So that is just, to me, that is the more mind-blowing two paragraphs in that story. But a lot of people stay with 417. But every once in a while, when I'm in a meeting and they start talking about page 4, the acceptance paragraph on 417, or in the third edition 449, I'll say I do love that. But here's the two paragraphs I really, really hang on to the most. And I'll read those two off, and everyone's like, I love that, man. So again, when I've said that, I pray to God, asking that I help somebody today in these dark times. Then I go out and, try to find that next right thing to do. And I can't do it, obviously with the self-imposed quarantine. It's work, home, and if we have to go shopping, we do. But other than that, it's work and home. I know eventually that, Princess Faye, my beautiful wife, and I will eventually get sick, but we're trying to prolong it as long as possible. And we're trying to prevent the spread of. So that being said, I could still go live. I could still try to bring that message of hope, that positive message. And I can only hope that I'm doing some good. I have to leave those results up to God as I understand God, or my higher power, if you prefer. So that's where I'm at in that. I mean, that's why we continue to keep going live. And that's one of those awesome things that I can still do, that we can go live. It was like, just a couple months ago, I got the ability to go live from a cellular device. So, and we had just gotten this new cell phone about a little over a month ago, and I'm still kind of working out all the bugs and everything, so it kind of suits my needs. But here we are, let's see. Okay. Um, Again, if you all got anything of that you want to talk about, get it out there in the open. Again, this is a hate-free zone in sober talk. When I do a sober talk, it's like there's nothing. I would hope nobody would say anything hateful to anyone who needs to get something out in the open. Treat it like a real AA meeting, if you will. And in an AA meeting, you share what you need to share, but you leave the details for your sponsor. But at least you get it out in the open. As an old timer once said in an AA meeting, and I loved how he put this. He said, "I come into an AA meeting to share hey, what's going on? Mr. Sketch Scars himself, Jammin' John of Sketch Squad TV. Thank you so much for being here. Today's topic in Sober Talk is about acceptance and, of course, gratitude. Of course, I've never been to a meeting that didn't have talk about gratitude. You know, and for the record, when you talk about gratitude, don't worry, I love you, brother. When you talk about gratitude, okay, I'm going to say it like this, and I hope that, this is going to really stand out for a lot of people. You cannot be hateful and grateful at the same time. Okay, you can only do one or the other. So, yes, I still get angry. I get very upset. I get very I get very upset, just like anybody else. That being said, one of the things that Sober Man taught me is it's okay to get angry. It's just not okay to stay there. Okay. So I can get angry. I can get very upset, but I just can't stay there. Okay. I have to, accept the situation for what it is and be grateful for the higher power of my understanding that I do not understand, and get outside of myself and try to help another. Okay, so that's just kind of how it works for Prince Magnum. I don't know how it works in your life, but maybe that's something. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Wow. Right. Um, Thank you guys. Wow, that is hands that wow. Thank you for telling me that. I really needed to hear that. Thank you so much. That's I don't know if you know how much that meant to me that you put that there. Auntie Donna's got a total of 5 phones, 3 of them just for the internet. I hope you don't do like I do. I've got like a computer here and a computer over here. Thank you. Thank you. Jammin' John of Sketch Squad TV. No, you never told me that. You never told me that, but by golly, thank you so much. I was gonna say, Auntie Donna, I hope you don't do like I do. I've got like 2 computers here, so I'll be working off of those, and then I've got my phone here that I'll be working off of as well. That's right, Jammin' John. Yep. Jammin' John, because he's into playing the guitar and the drums. That's how he got his nickname from me. So even though on his channel he's known as Sketch Scars, here in the Maverick Nation, he will always be Jammin' John. That's just how it is. That is awesome. Thank you guys so much for making me feel like I'm making a difference. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So here's something that here's something else that oh, you got a band? Awesome. Yeah, we do. We do. here's something that kind of helps me as well. Maybe this might help you guys in these dark times. If you've got a YouTube channel, I'm going to urge everyone to do as much as you can to push that positive vibe to everybody, to not just leave it in my hands, but give this whole thing your take, reaching out to others in that positive vibe feeling. And maybe this might help you guys out too. The minute we put our work on a service plane, the alcoholic commences to rely on our assistance. Oh, no, we're not looking for that one. No. Hang on. That's not the one I was going for. This one. Page 124. Cling to the thought that in God's hands, the dark past is the greatest possession you have. The key to life and happiness for others. With it, you can avert death and misery for them. So remember, stay on that firing line. As a matter of fact, that's actually one of the passages in this, in working with others. Your job is now to be at the place where you may be of maximum helpfulness to others. So never hesitate to go anywhere if you can be helpful. You should not hesitate to visit the most sore spot on earth on such an errand. Keep on the firing line of these motives, and God will keep you unharmed. From page 102 in the Book of Big, as sometimes Sober Man will teasingly call it. Real quick, I'll tell this joke again because I think everyone gets such a kick out of it. On page 112, okay, Sober Man, he's like, Prince Magnum, he's like, did you know that page 112, the first 3 words on that page will tell you everything you need to know about staying sober? And I'm like, really? You know? And he's like, yeah, everything, on page 112 of your big book, the first 3 words on that page will tell you everything you need to know about staying sober. Those first 3 words, read this book. I kid you not. Here, I'll put it up there close so the camera can pick it up. Yeah, that is not a joke. Right. I've got a million stories about sobriety. Well, since here's one of those ones that I'll tell you all about. One of my most important. Thank you again. Sketch. Appreciate that, man. Let me tell y'all a little, an interesting story. When I was 3 years sober at the time, and I went to the my first area assembly, and I tell this story a million times, and it's an important story because when I went to area assembly and told my story for the I went up to area assembly for the first time. I was an alternate GSR for the Noon Topic group over in Park Hills, Missouri, and it was my first time in that level of service. I've been a volunteer on other committees, but I'd never been at this level of service. And I go out to area assembly, and at that time, it was my first time. A lot of people, so it was really big. And if you've never been to an area assembly on the level of service, it is just, imagine for a split second, people in there, we're talking, years of sobriety, who give a lot of themselves back to the program in hopes that what they do will filter down to the groups. Thank you so much, Gotans, for being here with me. It means the world to me that you were here. All right. I can't thank you enough for being here. All right. Thank you again. Thank you again. You guys, awesome guy right there. Amazing guy. Um, but anyhow, so if you've never been to an area assembly, it's huge. Just imagine for a split second, you know, you're in this assembly, and there's probably well that my first time up there, I think it was like 170 people in attendance, and 170, 175. I forget exactly how many. It's been so long ago. That's been what, 11 years ago? I can't remember everything. So there I am, this big giant, and all of these people who suffer from the same problem I do. uh, basically it was like, there's all these people there. Um, right, right. So if you will, we're, um, so there was, all these people, suffering the same problem as am, and everything that we were doing was in hopes of getting it to, getting out to, helping, trying to reach that next newcomer, okay, whoever they might be, who knows what good they would do, that sort of thing. Um, so I went to the GSR meeting and I was in there and I was having a good time, listening to some people, and I shared some stuff, uh, the positive vibes that I could. I don't even remember what I talked about, but I remember saying something that I felt was kind of pertinent to the situation. And and then of course we went in and you know did I got to do like this share session, and Sketchgars has heard this story before, but I'm sure he'll love to hear it again. So this one was really important. And as sitting there, and they talked about one topic, and I knew I could talk on it, but I thought, nah, I'll just sit in, I'm just chilling. Then, the second one, I start shifting around in my seat, and the topic was, how do you help a newcomer, whether they're, you know, that is different, whether it's their sexual orientation, ethnic background, religion, whatever the case may be, how do you help them feel comfortable in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous? And I sat there and I knew I could talk on it. And finally, a dear friend of mine named Alvina, who had been watching me get sober, and as we're, you know, as I'm sitting there, kind of shifted, and I'm starting to do this little number because I knew I could talk on it. And she says, Prince Magnum, why don't you go on up to the mic? I said, nah, I'm just going to sit here. I'm just going to sit here. I just want to listen. And she was like, Prince Magnum, go up to that mic, you know. And I'm like, nah, I just want to sit here and listen, because there was a lot of people there, 170 plus. And finally, she's like, will you get your up to that mic? I'm like, all right. I thought she was going to hit me. And I'm like, I was like, you really want me to go? She's like, yes, you go now. And so I go up to the microphone, and, you know, as I'm up there, I leaned over, and of course, obviously, I used my real name. And hello, my name is, I'm an alcoholic. Everyone says hi, and there's a lot of people. I was like, wow, a lot of people. And I said, I'm the GSR. Well, I'm the alternate GSR New Topic Group, Park Hills, Missouri. And at that, basically, because there were so many people, they would only allow you to talk for 2 minutes at a time. And I said, when I came into Alcoholics Anonymous, I came in very different. Um, I came in as, I came in with long black hair, black nail polish, purple lipstick, and all black clothes. And my hair was actually down. I was wearing a black suit. And I looked down and went, oh crap, some things haven't changed. And I mean, the whole room busted up laughing. I said, okay, let's get real here for a second, guys. I said, this is not something you normally see in little bitty Park Hills, Missouri. It's, most people can't even find it on a map. I said, so it's a rural community. This is not something you see every day. I said, but nobody really cared about any of that. No one cared. As a matter of fact, I had an old timer tell me it doesn't matter if you're from jail or Yale. If you have a problem with alcohol, you're in the right place. Another old timer said to me, it doesn't matter if you are puking on the Persian or puking in the gutter. If the puking is a result of your alcoholism, you're in the right place. I stuck around, and you guys started helping me. You guys started helping me, and you started, bringing me back to life. Today, it's been, at that time, I said it's been 3 years since that time. And today, when I see a newcomer, I don't care what makes them different from me. If they have a problem with alcohol, they're in the right place. We need the newcomers. I said, I don't know about the rest of you, but I need the newcomers. That's why we're here today. I said, let me say it like this. Even after 3 years, I'm still trying to save my own bacon. Because why do we need the newcomers? Well, number one, who's gonna take over for us after we're gone? Who's gonna keep this going? So if one of our loved ones needs Alcoholics Anonymous, who's gonna keep it going for us? And the other thing is, again, the newcomers will remind me of what it was like before I got here. So that's why I need the newcomers, because when I see the pain in the newcomers' eyes, I know how real it is still, and it keeps me coming back. That's why, that's why we're here today, is to find the best way to reach out to that newcomer. And I said, with that being said, and I said my line, and I said, if nobody has told you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you and have a happy 24. The whole room just erupted in applause. People were jumping to their feet. As a matter of fact, a dear friend of mine, Pat, she was in the back of the room, and she was actually one of those, oh yeah, I'm telling you, she jumped up, started pounding on her table, and and starts screaming out, "That's my boy up there! That's my boy!" And like that. And and I walked back. It took me a good little while to walk back to the table because people were just hugging me and high fiving me. You can tell this was before the pandemic. And people were just hugging on me. Man, I was right there. That was so awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm like, man, that's, I finally get back to my spot, and I look over it. Right. And I get back to my spot, where I'm sitting. I look over at Alvina, and I said, "Is that what you wanted?" She said, "That is exactly what I wanted." Right, my Sharon. And she's like, and now the irony of this story is that I was actually starting to try to talk myself into a relapse. Oh, haven't done anything special in Alcoholics Anonymous. I was not important. I felt like I was a burden to the program. Maybe I don't belong here because I'm of no real help to anyone. This is what was going on in that magic magnifying mind of mine that we just talked about earlier on page 420. So in my mind, I was actually tricking myself into a relapse. So when this moment happened, I realized that I was in the exact place that I needed to be, that I did not need to go back out. And of course, we know the rest is history there. Now we'll fast forward. It was probably about 2 years ago, actually almost 3 years ago now. I'm at a speaker meeting, and I'm the speaker. 75 people in the room, okay? 75 people in the room. And one of the people is Alvina. and I'm telling that story. And when I got to that spot, right, right. So, you know, right, good, always solid information. So, I told this story, and of course, hey, mechanic CG, welcome to the chat, buddy. We're just talking about acceptance, and we're talking about gratitude. And I was actually telling a story that led into another story. But any hoopty do. Um, oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'm glad you still came into the chat. It means the world to me. You know, we're gonna try to find some level of acceptance using what I've learned through Alcoholics Anonymous, and we're gonna talk a little bit about gratitude. Of course, I've never been to I've never been to an AA meeting where there wasn't gratitude involved. 9 videos, you go, brother. But I can't sleep. Oh no, I hate that. I'll be Jam and John's seen me do that where I'll be editing a video and it's like, dude, you got to work at 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, go to bed. Really. But basically, I told that story, and then I told how if it had not been for Alvina talking me into going up and doing that and making that realization that I was exactly where I needed to be, that I probably would have talked myself into a relapse. Oh man, that's awesome. Now you're making me want to get on my Legend of Zelda series and get that done. But I think Sunday we'll be releasing the next installment regardless. I'm all the way up to, I've already finished Labyrinth 5 on editing, but we'll talk about that later towards the end of the video. Well, towards the end of the live. Mm. Right? Get on it. Get on it. It's not like we don't have time right now to get work done. Oh, yeah. Well, trust me, but we got plenty of retro to go around. We got plenty of retro to go around. You know, so so along with that, Alvina ended up crying 2 different times when I told that story. And of course, I had the opportunity to kind of reach out to some newcomers, and there was actually some nursing students there because it was done. This meeting was at St. Anthony's, and I said to our nursing students, I said, "Get yourselves a copy of the Big Book." I'm going to tell you right now, I worked the medical field for many years, and the doctor's opinion, Bill's story, um, there is a solution. More about more about alcoholism and we agnostics. I definitely recommend that as reading material for anyone in the medical field. I said, especially the doctor's opinion. I said, you will find that there is no other, in my 13 years in the medical field, it is probably one of the most important documents ever written by a doctor. I said, so, definitely take it in. It was by a Dr. William D. Silkworth back in 1938, a letter he had wrote. Because at that time, Bill was already starting to talk about doing the Big Book. So if you find that interesting, a little bit of history there. Man, I love doing Sober Talk Lives. I've been, of all the things, a lot of people don't always come into these. And lately, I mean, it seems like it takes a little while for the crowd to pick up a little bit, but when they start coming in, they really do. I'm hoping it stays like a jumping chat and everything, and it stays stays pretty lively and everything. That's all we can do is hope. But yeah, but that I thought you guys might find that interesting. And of course, so what do you all have to be grateful for today? What do we have to be grateful for? I know myself, I'm grateful that I woke up, that I woke up today, didn't find it necessary to take a drink. 14 years later, I'm still grateful that happens because believe me, it's still there. It's alive and well deep in here. That struggle, you know. Along with that, I had a job to go to today still, even though my hours have been cut, I still got work. I could go to work. I can make I can make a living still. I haven't gotten sick today. So I have the opportunity to continue to work a little while longer and, support the household. I have an awesome car to drive to and from work. How awesome is that? I can be grateful for that. I got a wife that puts up with me. You know, that's something else I can be grateful for. Look around you. What do you have to be grateful for today? Ask yourself that. Um, you know, what do you have to be grateful for? In the midst of all of this, we have to accept the situation as it is. And you know, and from, this guy's standpoint, um, there you go. You got food on the table, plenty to be thankful for. Right now there's people that right, right. And on top of that, think about this. How many people right now are struggling to just get that right, you know? And on top of that, think about this. How many people right now are struggling at the moment because of the shopping nightmare that we suffered and are starting to recover from? You know, how many people, you know, right? You know, how many people are, you know, the whole thing that they're in a bind. I see it pop up on Facebook every now and again where someone's saying, I don't have this, but I have this. Is anyone willing to trade me this for this? And I've been starting to see that a little bit more and more. I can be grateful that, if I have an abundance of something, that I might be able to trade it to somebody who needs it and maybe get something else back, that I'm well positioned enough right now that we can do that. Um, how awesome is that? And not all the time does that happen in my life. I can be thankful for that. Um, you know, I'm thankful that I'm still sober, that I'm alive and well, that there's so much to be grateful for right now. I'm grateful for the roof over my head. How many people right now are facing that whole thing where, they're not sure how they're going to make ends meet during these dark times? So what do you have to be grateful for today? What do look around you? Even if you don't put it in the chat, you don't have to if you don't want to. Hey, what's going on, mechanic? What are you grateful for today? What do you have to be grateful for? And whatever your higher power is today, have you said thank you to that higher power that you have what you have available to you? So that's one of the biggest focuses that I wanted to really, really nail down today. Yes, we have to accept this situation as it is. Again, you know, you have to accept it, but this is the way that God wants it at this moment in time. You don't necessarily have to you have to like it. You don't have to like it at all. But if you just have to accept it. But on top of that, what can you do today? What can you be grateful for? And what can you do to take yourself out of the bad situation? Thank you, honey. Princess Faye topping off my coffee cup. I am so lucky.
Is it cold enough in here for you?
Um,
Or is it still too hot?
it's actually it's a little over warm. Why?
I was just, if it was too hot in the apartment still, I was going to turn the AC on for you.
You can if you want, baby.
And just trying to close the window.
Okay. Hang on a second. I gotta close the window. We're turning on the air conditioning because I am burning up. I think the neighbors might have accidentally left their heat on. That or they're baking something. But anyhow, Um, you know, so what can we be grateful for today? You know, and of course, again, I'm grateful that I'm in the position where I can go live like this once a day and try to bring that message of hope that we will get through this, we will come out on the other side, and we will have amazing stories to tell. Okay? Imagine 10 years from now, 20 years from now, having a conversation with someone who wasn't alive at the time saying, "You're not going to believe this. I lived through this." How powerful is that? How powerful will that message be? So, you know, I'm going to say it again right now. Um, I'm fortunate, that I have what I have, and that we have, that we're doing okay. Again, um, shoot, I can be grateful that the Prince Magnum channel is now at over 1,000 subs, and that we're actually reaching people. The content that I put out is reaching people, and it's bringing that message of hope. That to me is just, that is powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. Thank you, Sketch. So, you know, that that to me just means the world. You know what I'm saying? That is just wow. You know. Um and you hear me talk about that whole he is having way too much fun with the emojis. Oh, you guys are awesome. Getting in the box. um Hang on here. Oh, by the way, for those that I forgot the other cat. um, for those that do not know, um, uh, this is actually my original big book from when I first got sober. This thing was actually falling apart so badly that I had it duct taped together. And I actually went over, I was talking to somebody at the Bonne Terre Library, and they said, we restore books here. And I said, "You do? Well, is it a paperback or is it a hardback? The hard copy." And I said, "Well, it's the hardback book. Get that thing up here." When she's seen she's like, "Why did you do that?" She, peeled it off, cleaned it up, and did an amazing restoration of the original big book. So I've been able to break out this bad boy, the original big book that I learned the 12 steps out of in this live. That's what I've been reading from, is the original big book that I got sober with. And that is so awesome because I would, for the longest time, I would keep it and break it out for one of my sponsees, and you would just see it almost start falling apart, just like almost wanting to disintegrate in front of them. They're like, "Oh my God." And I said, "This is my original big book." And then to have it fully restored, is really awesome. And of course, when I go to meetings now, I still actually take this original book with me after all this time. I mean, I have a couple of copies I could take. One of them even Princess Faye got me as a gift, but she'll tell you that when she sees this come out, it's just that little something. And of course, Jam and John actually got to see it. We'll have to break it down in another live, mainly right now because I forget where I put it. But I've got an actual special big print, big book that it's just huge. It's just a really big book, and it has nothing but signatures and comments and things like that from people that I've met over time. And as a matter of fact, the day I got married, I took it with me. Right? You've seen. I took it with me uh, to the place, when Princess Faye and I got married. I took it with me and had I had the preacher that did the ceremony. I had her sign it, which was really awesome. Had her say, she's like, "I have no," I said, I explained it to her, and she's like, "That is the coolest." She's like, "I have never got to do this." and she signed it. And so the person that did the ceremony for my wedding signed my big print big book. We'll have to take a look at that sometime. You know, yes, indeed. So if you, yeah, and for the record, Soberman has signed it twice, and but however, Princess Faye has signed it something like 6 times herself. She signed it, and of course, she even put one in there on 13th stepping. For those that do not know that one, that's kind of a yeah. I love my wife. uh, let's see. Okay. Um, let's see. Something to kind of say. Let me read something that might help you all uh, get a little bit of positive feel, because I've been going back to this section a lot lately, and that sort of thing. Um, the third step promises and the AA Big Book. Uh, page 63, if you've got one in front of you and want to follow along. We had a new employer. Being all powerful, he provided what we needed if we kept close to him and performed his work well. Established on such a footing, we became less and less interested in ourselves, our little plans and designs. We became more and more interested in seeing what we can contribute to life. As we felt new power flow in, as we enjoyed peace of mind, as we discovered we could face life successfully, as we became conscious of his presence, we began to lose our fear of today, tomorrow, or the hereafter. We were reborn. And I always love to hear those promises. They're still very special to me. Um, still love reading them too. The irony of that. Oh, see me. Never knew I was a gearhead. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Tell you a funny story. Right? I'll tell you a funny story. Um, back when I first got sober, I got sober in the car that I also used to party in, a '77 Oldsmobile Delta '88. Right? I still dress that way. What are you talking about? Some things don't change. Um, but it is what it is, you know. Um, tell you a funny story going back when I first got sober. I got sober. The car I got sober with was the same car I drank in. Um, right? Um, it was a '77 Oldsmobile Delta '88, and it is trippy going that far back. Um, mainly because it's amazing that I can remember that far back. You know, I tell everybody, if you remember my 20s, you weren't there. Uh, it's horrible. um, so I got sober, and that was the car I started taking to meetings and everything. And in the midst of all of that, I was still doing the work to it, and I had a lot of money tied up in that car. Um, and sober man, when I would go over to his place in that car, he'd hear me come rumbling in, and he's like, "You need to slow down. I mean, you've gotten to be very special to me, and I hate for anything to happen to you. Slow down." He's like, "You really need to slow down." And today, whenever I tell him, I don't hang my leg in it like I used to, he's like, "Thank God you scared the hell out of me. You scared me a lot." you need to stop it. He's like, you were going to give me a heart attack. He's like, because I was always afraid that you were. I said, then you really don't need to spend a whole lot of time on the channel. I said, because you will come across some video footage you're not going to like. He's like, please don't tell me you were racing. I said, oh, I was. He's like, you weren't going real fast, were you? I said, I was. He's like, don't tell me anymore. I don't want to. I don't want to know. Jam and John seen that video footage quite a few times. The one where Spirit was out running the Camaro, but yeah, Sober Man would really get on to me all the time. You know, quit hanging your leg in it. Of course, there was the one time, Mrs. Sober Man, Sober Man's wife. Tell you a funny story here. I used to play paintball a lot. I still got all my paintball gear. And again, Jam and John's seen that. He's seen that paintball gear. It was real funny because I accidentally leaving tire prints on the paper. Yeah, I did that a few times. I was out practicing with the paintball team that I was on, and it was a freak accident, but basically I accidentally got shot in the temple with a paintball, and it gave me a concussion and left me, it left me down for a whole day. I had to leave work early because the concussion actually, it took a long while for the concussion to set in, and I was kind of out of it then, and I had to go home, and I did not go to work the next day because I was nursing that concussion. Sober Man got really upset, and he came over. And are you okay? Do you need anything? Yeah, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I just wasn't moving a whole lot. I said, I get dizzy when I get up. So he's like, well, you don't need to be getting up then. Well, then a couple days later, I'm out at Sober Man's place, and Mrs. Sober Man comes in, and she says, I have a bone to pick with you. And I'm like, okay. She's like, you really upset Sober Man. What were you doing out playing paintball? You could get yourself hurt. And then from there, it turned into where she chewed me out. I kid you not, for a half an hour on how dangerous playing paintball was. And I mean, she laid into me at the end of all of that, after she was done laying into me for that half an hour. She looks at me and says, and what do you have to say for yourself? I said, well, and that's as far as I got. She said, there is nothing you can say in your defense. And she proceeded to chew me out for another half an hour. And basically, anytime it comes up, she'll say, no playing paintball. So another thing that sobriety has given me is, if you will, it has given me people that will, that do care. It has given me that, and that is really, really awesome. That a guy like me can have people in his life that care so much, like that. That is powerful stuff. Goodness gracious. So, I mean, that's what that's what sobriety has given me. And again, during these dark times, I can share these stories with you guys, and to be able to share these stories, and maybe you guys can take something from it, and maybe even if the only thing you take out of it is the message of hope, or a message of, just the big one is a message of hope. I mean, more than anything, or maybe you might pass this on to someone that who's struggling with alcoholism or addiction, or that sort of thing. To be able to do that. Lurking. I don't mind lurking. I don't mind lurking. To be able to, to have that, that kind of effect. Lurk status. I totally get it. To be able to, to have people, that care about me like that, and then to be able to pass that on and tell all of you that I care about you all like that. And there's a lot of you in the Maverick Nation. I care about every last one of you. And that's, if any of you ever came on and said, Prince Magnum, I'm hurting, I got to talk, man. I got to talk. Believe me, we're going to find time. We're going to sit down. As a matter of fact, someone just the other day sent me an email. Said they got my email from one of the lives, and just sent it out in hopes that I might be willing to talk to them. But they were afraid that I'd gotten just big enough that it was. I'm like, no, I always got time to talk to somebody. What's on your mind? What do you need to talk about? You know, and again, I hope, my one hope in all of this, as we keep getting bigger and stronger, as far as what the Prince Magnum channel has to offer, as we keep, I hope I never get so big that I forget the people that put me there, and I forget to take time out for the individuals, because it is individuals that are putting me where I'm going. I hope I never get so big that I forget that. Um, you know, uh, I hope that that I never get that big, because if I do, um, I would turn my back on everything that was important to me. And one of the reasons why, even though Sober Talk is the one series that most people do not look at here on the Prince Magnum channel. Most people don't even pay attention to it. Um, I mean, more and more, we're starting to get more people that do, but for the most part, most people don't pay attention. Uh, that being said, um, that's one of the reasons why I've kept it going. I mean, legit. I mean, I could actually, I've thought about getting rid of this series altogether, but I can't do it, because, what if there's that one person that it might help? And so I've stayed with that, uh, you know, bringing, what sobriety is to, through Alcoholics Anonymous, what sobriety is to me. For the record, I will say that what I present is just, what I was taught, and at the same time, kind of, what I've learned over time, just kind of, but it's not necessarily the concrete, the way that Alcoholics Anonymous may have meant it. So you almost might want to say there may even be just overtones of Prince Magnum's opinion on this. So, you know, um, if it helps, great. If not, toss it out there. Maybe it might help later. Who knows? It's kind of like that. There's no such thing as bad. Well, there is bad information, but even still, there's no such thing as bad information. There's just misinformation. You just got to look at it that way, I guess. Um, there was an old timer that when he would when I'd be in a meeting with him, and this old timer had an amazing way of putting, I've talked about this earlier in the stream. He had an amazing way of putting things. He would oftentimes, when I do Sober Talk, I want to also focus on this as well. For anyone, that might come, maybe watch a little bit of this or whatever. One of the big ones that I'm going to say is that he taught me, wasn't Sober Man. It was a totally different person, but he said, there's a whole, I know what I'm doing wrong, and there's a whole world outside these doors that's telling me, that'll tell me what I'm doing wrong. I come into a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous to hear what I'm doing right. He said, when you guys he said, if anybody in here tells me what I'm doing wrong in here, that's just one more in my bag, and my bag's pretty big to carry. So I need all of you to tell me what I'm doing right. He said, I need you all to build me up, because that disease of alcoholism is right outside that door doing push-ups, waiting for me to slip up. It's doing push-ups right now. And he said, I will always be one arm bend away from the man I used to be. And that's why I'm still here. And this guy's got like almost like 40 years now. So, I mean, just a powerful message. So I hope at day's end, when you all come in to a Sober Talk Live, that you feel that We are not, I hope that you never feel like I'm going to tell you what you're going to do, or anybody in here would tell you what you're doing wrong. I hope that we can all tell you what you're doing right, because there's a whole world outside of the Prince Magnum channel live streams. There's a whole world out there that'll tell you what you're doing wrong. You need to hear what you're doing right. And again, back to that message of hope. And I am grateful that I can give that away today. And it's all because of Alcoholics Anonymous. So that's where I'm at with that. Okay. Thank you so much, Auntie Donna, for being here for me. I'm going to say it again. I am still a very, very selfish alcoholic. Very selfish. So selfish, in fact, that not only do I need everyone in Alcoholics Anonymous, I need all of you too. Every last one of you. I need every last one of you, because I am that selfish. I need everyone to help me stay sober today. But sobriety allows you to be a little selfish, because it's about saving your own life. And I would not be here today if it was not for Alcoholics Anonymous. And I would not continue to do these live streams if I didn't think there was a positive message to present. There would be no reason for me to do these. I would just go ahead and upload different content. But along with that, I know that I have a message to give, and it's a positive message. And that positive message was given to me by a lot of good old drunks, just trying to find a solution, So that's what it's really all about, And if I can say one thing that might help someone today, even if it is just for this one day, then I can be happy with that. These dark times, we need that, we need to be reminded that there is hope in all of this. More than anything, we need to be reminded that there is hope. And I'm very grateful that I can present that message of hope, or at least be one of the many who is trying to. I know there's several YouTubers now trying their best to present that message of hope. And I just have my own spin on it, just because I found hope, trying to get sober, that's what I needed. And I'm reminded, I know I've read this before, but I'll read it again because it means the world to me. And today I can share this with you all. Life will take on new meaning to watch people recover, to see them help others, to watch loneliness vanish, to see a fellowship grow, to have a host of friends. This is an experience you must not miss. We know you will not want to miss it. Frequent contact with newcomers and with each other is the bright spot of our lives. That's from page 89 of the Alcoholics Anonymous Big Book. I get chills even just reading that. If you all wonder why that, because I had said that at the beginning of the year that we were going to do live stream sober talks, and we were going to try to do them once a week. More than anything, what's also helping me is this little reminder on page 85. We are not cured of alcoholism. What we have is a daily reprieve, contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. Every day we must carry the vision. Every day is a day when we must carry the vision of God's will into our activities. How can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. These are the thoughts which must go with us constantly. We exercise our willpower along these lines, and all we wish, it is the proper use of will. So tuck that away. Maybe it might help you. And again, I will urge anyone in chat, anyone who's watching the playback, when you go live, when you do a video, make sure that you're leaving that message of hope. there right now, I know it seems pretty bleak, but we will get through this, okay? And again, um, at the end of all of this, I know that we will all be able to get out there and tell that message of this is what it was like for me through these dark times. And imagine in 20 years, being able to sit down with people who weren't alive during this time and say, this is what it was like for us. How awesome is that? And it'd be really funny if someone says there was this guy on YouTube called Prince Magnum. 20 years from now, that would be. I would, if I ever hear one of those stories, I will fall over backwards. I kid you not. I will just like that. I'm not kidding you. But again, I will say it again. I, Prince Magnum, have the best subscribers in the entire world. You guys are the Maverick Nation, and I'm blessed to have every one of you. That is where I stand on that. All right. Let's see. Oh my goodness. You can tell I've been at work today. Oh, for those of you out there wondering, when you have someone who is maybe sometime we'll have to do this whole chapter, or we'll have to just sit down and read chapter after chapter of the Big Book. You guys might find this interesting. We'll have to do that, and I'll have to talk about various things that I learned from each chapter and that sort of thing. But if you've ever wondered, if you ever wondered why some of us alcoholics, it's like, why don't they go get sober? Why don't they they know what they're doing to themselves. Why don't they get sober? Page 30, chapter 3, top of the page, more about alcoholism, first paragraph. You're going to love this. Most of us have been unwilling to admit we were real alcoholics. No person likes to think he is bodily and mentally different from his fellows. Therefore, it is not surprising that our drinking careers have been characterized by countless vain attempts to prove that we could drink like other people. The idea that somehow, someday, he will control and enjoy his drinking is the great obsession for every abnormal drinker. This persistence of this illusion is astonishing. Many pursue it to the gates of insanity or death. I'm going to tell you all an interesting story. There is a story that has been passed around for many, many years in Alcoholics Anonymous, and it was originally told by a Father Martin, basically a Catholic priest. He's long since gone, and he was the one that did the original Chalk Talk. And he even did a shortened version of it, and he even did a one on relapse prevention. AA World Services has not exactly deemed it as conference approved material, but we still use it extensively. That is not a joke, folks. That being said, he was telling a story how some AA members had been trying to get this guy sober for many years. And this guy was on his deathbed. He was going to die. His drinking had basically brought him to the point where it was going to kill him. And he looks up at the AA members, says, "I can handle this," and dies. That is how big the obsession comes with being an alcoholic. If that does not, kind of jar you into, wow, that is, because I know there's, some people that's like, you got sober, Prince Magnum, why can't they? That is how strong the obsession is. That's how strong the disease is with them. I hate how originally Bill W. Originally wrote it, that he compared alcoholism to cancer. That's really not a safe analogy. Imagine to someone who who suffers something more like mental disorders, obsessive compulsion disorder, you know, OCD, manic depression, and things like that, all wrapped up into one nice, neat, nifty little package. And there's your alcoholism. You know, all that along with the fact that they don't know how to live life without a drink. So that's alcoholism in a nutshell. If that helps you any. So if you ever wonder about that, there's that should give you a little insight. Uh, Alcoholics are bodily and mentally different from everybody else. We used to be kind of a rare breed, but it seems like it's that we're getting more and more commonplace these days. I don't know why that is. But anyhow, all right. So we have went for a little over an hour. I know I'm getting hungry, and I know Princess Faye just got home from work a little while ago. So I figure it's probably a pretty good idea I go spending a little bit of time with the beautiful, lovely lady. Any woman that could put up with me like my wife has to be amazing. Uh, I love her. I love her for it. All right. So that brings us to our usual spot. Again, we're going to try to go live every day. I think I'm going to take Sunday off though, and just kind of relax, kind of unwind. It'll be loaded content that day. If I think that's kind of the plan. We're going to have to take Sunday off, and weather permitting, we'll go out. We'll do a little bit of work on good old Project Spirit. So if you wanted to learn some things about classic cars, when we do a do-it-yourself budget hot rodding live, if you've ever had any questions about old cars, it's a great time to learn. I don't necessarily know everything, but I know enough to get into trouble. And on top of that, if you just want something to kind of help you forget about everything going on, it's always a great to do that. And I always enjoy when people come in and we get to talk about the classic car that my wife bought for me, technically. She bought me that car. And yes, we still loved it. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to, but love going out on a date with her and just being, still open the car door for her and things I can be grateful for today. I can, go out, open the car door for her and just, be that attentive husband that I like and, I enjoy being so much for her. I can be grateful for that. So if you want to get to know that car a little bit, we're going to try to go live and do a little bit of work to the old girl as much as we possibly can during these dark times. Along with that, I know I got to talk to Princess Faye, but I think we've got something very special planned for everybody Saturday. Okay. I don't 100% know yet. Don't quote me on anything. I will post on the community page, the community, I will do a community post, what it's going to be, Saturday. We'll know a little bit more after Princess Faye and I talk, but Saturday's live, should definitely be interesting. Okay. And Jammin' John, I know you're probably still lurking, so I'm gonna hit you up with this one. You keep wanting me to do retro games. I got a retro one for you that we're gonna do. I'm not gonna tell you any more, but I know it's coming, and you're gonna get a kick out of it. I promise you. You want retro? I got true retro for you. You're gonna get a big kick out of this, but I'm not gonna tell you any more. Okay? And that's it. That's all you get to know. It's gonna drive you nuts now too. He's gonna call me here in a little bit after the live ends, and he's gonna be like, "Would you tell me?" And I ain't telling you. All right. So again, if you've got YouTube channels of your own, be sure to drop the link in the live right now before we close it out, or feel free to drop it in the comments box after the stream ends. You're more than welcome to. By all means, please, so we can, so everybody can find you, okay? Especially in these dark times, we all have that message of hope that we need to get out there. All right, and again, I urge everyone in the YouTube community, whether you're live streaming or you're uploading content, I'm going to stress, try to continue to push the message of hope in these dark times, okay? All right, now we're going to go to one of the most important spots in the big book, and then we're going to start winding this out. This one, I remember hearing this my very first AA meeting. So I think that we'll start ending it like this. Well, getting to the point where we end it like this in the lives. And it goes like this on page 164, the last couple of paragraphs on this page. Our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your house is in order. But obviously you cannot transmit something you haven't got. So see to it that your relationship with him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then. So as we bring this to a close, I like to, normally I know what you all are used to me saying in the other content, the other stuff that we do here on the Prince Magnum channel, but we do things a little bit differently in Sober Talk. So as I get ready to shut down the stream, I want you all to remember, at day's end, I hope all of you need me as much as I need you. And as always, for all of you out there, no matter what's going on, especially in these dark times, if no one out there has told you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you and have a happy 24. Thank you.